Hello, you're watching the Football News Show on transfer deadline day. The countdown is on. Clubs have had 77 summer days to refresh, reboot and revitalise their squads. All that time, and here we are in the 11th hour with bundles of business still to be done. Who's coming, who's going nowhere at the end of another compelling transfer window. Tick-tock, we are into transfer windows Fergie time now. Surely less than an hour to go in England and Scotland. We'll be here on the BBC iPlayer, the BBC Red Button and the BBC Sport website until 11:15, rounding up all of the late transfer activity in the company of two stalwarts of the English game. What else would you rather be doing with your Friday night? Coming up, we will have the very latest on those deals going down to the wire. Joe and Simon are primed at our deal desk. It is not just the Premier League 2. We'll have the very latest from Scotland with the SPFL window closing at 11 as well. We will chat European football with Julien Laurent just after 10:30, and we'll look at the WSL, and we'll hear from you, the fans, to see if the summer has left your footballing glass half full or half empty. And if you want to have your say, you can jump on social media, use the hashtag BBC Football, or you can text or WhatsApp us. You can use the details appearing on your screen right now. Let's bring it up to speed then with your transfer deadline day headlines. And Raheem Sterling could be about to find a route out of Stamford Bridge. He is in talks over a loan move to Arsenal. Will Ivan Toney's deal to Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia be complete in time? Brentford have accepted a £40 million deal for the striker. In terms of deals done, Manchester United have confirmed the arrival of Paris Saint-Germain midfielder Manuel Ugarte, an initial fee of just over £42 million. But Scott McTominay is on his way out. The Scotland midfielder has joined Napoli for £25.7 million. We are delighted to welcome our deadline day signing in the former Leeds, Leicester and Everton striker Jermaine Beckford, and we have issued a hands-off warning to potential suitors for the ex-Spurs and Man City midfielder Michael Brown. Gents, what's caught your eye today then?
Well, I think it's a bit of everything, isn't it? Napoli were holding the key. We were waiting to see how they were going to release certain people. Scott McTominay finally getting over the line. I think the one that's just excited everybody at the end is for Arsenal. These supporters wonder, are they going to get Raheem Sterling? Yes, it's going to be a loan deal. If that goes through, could that affect the title? Huge signings all around, and I'm looking forward to talking through all the ones that hopefully are just going to drift through the night and excite a lot of supporters.
Jermaine?
Everything that Brownie said. I think Ipswich have been very lively in the window. Also, Crystal Palace and West Ham. West Ham have made a few really good signings, especially earlier on in the window as well. So, yeah, I'll be quite excited to talk about all of those.
Blissfully, compared to January, it is a lot busier today. When you're moving on transfer deadline day, how different is it to moving at any other point in the window? How disruptive can it be?
I've made that change once before. I left Everton and went to Leicester literally about 5 hours before the window shut. And it was great fun for me on a personal level because it's a new experience, it's a new teammates, it's working with a fantastic manager in Sven-Göran Eriksson. You know, it was absolutely amazing. However, on the negative side of that was how difficult it was for the family. You know, so it's a whole new area, it's new schools, it's new friends, it's new houses. There's so many other elements of it that go together that you kind of forget about as a football player. You just think, well, you know, that's a great opportunity. Let me sign there.
If they only see you on that Saturday afternoon at the football ground, they don't get everything else, do they?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think the point is you sat there waiting. So you might have heard of this 7 days ago, a little bit longer of the interest, and then whether it's going to happen because of the financials, waiting for contracts, then medicals come into play. And it's just that wait, and then all of a sudden you've got to go really, really quickly, whether your family can follow, whether they come instantly with you, and then it's the uncertainty. And what's strange is the next day you walk into that football club and you're going in.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
You bring your boots and you walk and everybody's looking at you in the dressing room. You're thinking, morning, what do you do? And then you've got to settle in quickly. And what's really good is you get your kit on, and then once you get onto the field, you get a little bit of a feel for it. You come back, get sorted, your family. The support's really good now for these football clubs regarding your hotels, your life, your schools, everything like that. But I know there's one of these players in these deals now has been sat in London today, just waiting for it to happen, and the medical can be done in London, paperwork sent, and he's just about to move internationally. So that's how things have changed.
It's going to be fascinating to see what happens over the next hour. Right, let's find out more with Joe and Simon at the Transfer Centre.
Yes, while Ben, Michael and Jermaine give their analysis here at the BBC Sports Centre, we'll bring you the latest on those live deals still in progress with 55 or so minutes left in this transfer window. Our chief football news reporter, Simon Stone, is here in the studio with us once again. Let's start, Simon, with this man, Ivan Toney, 28 years old, played for England at the Euros, only just returned to the Premier League after serving that ban for betting offences, and yet in talks with a £40 million move to the Saudi Pro League club Al Ahly. Now, they do have a bit more time to get deals over the line. Do you expect this one to get done?
I certainly do. I was told earlier today that there'd been an agreement between Brentford and Al Ahly, and that Ivan Toney would basically make the move. The interesting thing has been Victor Osimhen at Napoli, who was also linked with Al Ahly, but it seems that that's not going to go through, and that will make it easier, I suppose, for this deal to be completed. But as you say, there's an extra couple of days early next week, and we'll get that confirmed, I would have thought.
Now, Raheem Sterling is another England international in a pretty different situation, trying to force his way to more first-team football to get back on the cusp of that England team. The England squad looks to be on the verge of this move to Arsenal. Bring us up to date with that, Simon.
Yes, so Raheem Sterling, I mean, it's been fairly obvious now since the start of the season that Raheem was going to be surplus to requirements, let's say, at Chelsea. He's been linked with Manchester United, he's been linked with PSG. It's Arsenal who've stepped up to the plate. There was obviously the issue over the amount of money he earns. He's on one of the biggest contracts at Chelsea. Chelsea are not saying how they've managed to get this deal to go through, but it does look as though by the end of this transfer window, Raheem Sterling will be an Arsenal player, and that will link him back up with Mikel Arteta, who he works with at Manchester City.
And Manchester United were a club that were rumoured to be interested in Sterling at some point during this window. They have said goodbye to Scott McTominay in the last hour. He's moving to the Serie A side Napoli. The pure profit, as it's now called, of selling an academy product means United have been able to reinvest that money into PSG's Uruguayan midfielder Manuel Ugarte, who in the last half hour has completed his move to Old Trafford. Now, those deals done, Simon, but will there be one more, perhaps big, headline outgoing at Old Trafford this evening in the form of the man we're about to see here, Jadon Sancho?
I think this is something that will happen. Jadon Sancho, again, another player who's surplus to requirements, this time at Manchester United, even though he made an uneasy peace with Erik ten Hag after a big fallout last season. I think Sancho, the talks are ongoing over a move to Chelsea. Chelsea's his boyhood club. Given we're so late in the window, word is that, as I say, talks are ongoing. I would be very surprised now if that deal did not go through.
OK, interesting. Simon Stone, thank you again for being with us. Some big meaty deals still in progress in this last hour of the transfer window, Ben.
Really interesting stuff. And Joe and Simon, you're going to be keeping across it all over the next hour or so. Just one other news to bring you just coming in. Billy Gilmour has signed for Napoli as well from Brighton and Hove Albion. We've also got our reporter Alex Howell at Selhurst Park, where, Alex, a busy day, but I guess the biggest headline is a player that hasn't left at all.
That's right, Ben. It's not often that you get the biggest talking point for a club is someone who hasn't left or it's not a new signing, but that's exactly what's happened here at Crystal Palace. It's been a long-running saga between Newcastle and Crystal Palace over their interest in centre-back Mark Gahey. He was the breakout star, wasn't he, at the Euros for England, arguably their best player in the tournament. Talks have been going on for a long time. It started at around 60 million, Palace wanting a valuation for nearer 70. Newcastle didn't meet the valuation, and I was at the press conference earlier today where manager Oliver Glasner said that he would be staying here. He's captaining the side. It wasn't news to him, he said, but he's very happy that he could have one of the main parts of his backline staying at the club.
Alex, thank you very much. Well, the biggest spenders of the transfer window, as they have been for the last couple, are Chelsea. More than 220 million spent this summer, 390 in total last season, around 750 million the year before. A huge squad with notable players on long-term contracts, training on their own, told they can leave. It is a bold strategy for sure.
I can say that for me it's not a mad club, because since I joined the club, the things are working in one way, in one direction. The players that arrive, they are all players that together with the club we decide to bring. The ones that they didn't arrive or they are not going to arrive is because we decide that way. So for me it's not it's not mad club. I always said many times what's happened before. For me it's very difficult to judge because I was not here, so I don't have an idea. The only thing I can say that since I'm here, for me there is a clear direction where the club wants to go, and I think we are in the perfect direction.
Well, our football reporter Nizar Kinsler's phone's been on meltdown for most of the summer. And Nizar, what can you tell us?
Well, the life of covering Chelsea, it's just so busy, so dramatic, and they love a deal, don't they? So, they're doing deals in and out. I think they wanted to maybe do more deals out than they have done, but we're getting towards the last deal now. Jadon Sancho, we think, will be the last deal, although a move for Victor Osimhen, Napoli striker, isn't completely off the cards, but at the minute it would be a huge surprise. Maybe the Jadon Sancho deal that you spoke to Simon about might be the last one, a loan with obligation from Manchester United.
And Nizar, what about some of those players that aren't in Maresca's plans? Any potential that they might leave?
Some will, some won't. So yeah, there's some that are lucky enough to be getting their moves, getting out there. So we might have Raheem Sterling joining Arsenal. I think that's the biggest one. Maybe the surprise deal of deadline day for me, Trevor Chalobah, he might be joining Crystal Palace. And then there's also Armando Broja, who's still in talks with Ipswich. We don't know if that one will go through at this stage, but we're kind of hopeful, and we're hearing that it might go through. So I think those are the big sort of three where they might leave. But I think people like Ben Chilwell, they're going to be left in limbo, and there's several others as well. So Ben Chilwell, an England international, what's going to happen to him? Enzo Maresca said, I won't be playing those players that aren't playing now. If they don't get moves, they're going to basically be stuck in limbo for the next few months until January, when they can next seek those moves.
Fascinating stuff. Nizar, we'll let you get back to it, start chasing all of those key lines. Michael, Jermaine, what have you made of the situation? I mean, every single transfer window we seem to be talking about what are Chelsea doing. This seems to be almost as extraordinary as any we've had before.
It's incredible, isn't it? And it's the areas of the pitch as well. Do you know those wide positions, Pedro Neto and then Felix, and now you're going to go Sancho. Where's that number 9 at the top of the pitch, where we could still see one come into Chelsea because we know how they're moving so quickly. But the manager's had his stance. He's saying he wants certain players at the club, not others. It's still a bit disjointed, isn't it, with director of footballs, with owners, all the involvement that's there is really, really difficult. But how do you actually manage them on the training ground? It must be incredible, because there's players who desperately don't want to be there. He's just got to cut a line down and say, right, you cannot.
Well,
really
he's already said, hasn't he? He's got his training squad.
I agree.
So they're about 23,
but he's
25.
going to have 2 or 3 more now coming in on top. I mean, it's something like you've never seen ever before. How you manage the situation, I don't know. What is the long-term plan? Financials, how does it add up? It is incredible what we're witnessing with Chelsea.
I can't believe that Chelsea are still signing players without getting rid of a load of players. They've got maybe 5 or 6 excess players that are very good players, don't get me wrong. But again, like you said, where do they stand? They don't change in the same changing rooms. They don't train together. There's all the hoo-ha with the financial fair play, etc., that is hanging over their heads. So where does that leave them? And then you're talking about bringing in somebody else, Jadon Sancho, who, like Brownie said a minute ago, they've got so many other players that play in that position.
Well, we've got
very good.
Raheem Sterling. Is Jadon Sancho an upgrade on Raheem Sterling?
Listen, we can talk about upgrades or we can talk about different personalities. They've obviously made their mind up that Raheem Sterling in that group of players is not for them. I think it looks from an outset that the manager's already decided that before he come in that he wasn't part of it.
Do you think it's the manager
or the football club? It's certainly a bit of both. I think that manager is strong enough to make a decision to say, right, he knows Raheem Sterling, he wants to bring him in, he wants to give him a go. It's been done very, very quickly at this football club. Jadon Sancho has gone into Manchester United. We've seen what he did last season, the Champions League, etc. It's another big opportunity for him. You really feel like somewhere's got to take him for a permanent to be a home, really. And the issue is, why Chelsea? Is that the right move for him? Because of the players in and around him, he needs to be loved. He needs to be playing every single week. So this is the problem.
And I can't see him playing every single week at Chelsea in front of Joao Felix, in front of Pedro Neto, in front of all of these guys. They're fantastic football players, and they've deserved their spot. Is he going to play in front of them? Is he better than them?
So the upgrade is time will tell.
Interesting stuff, gents. Thank you. You are watching the Football News Show. A few other deals to go through today. In the last 15 minutes, Billy Gilmour has signed for Napoli. Brighton receiving £12 million, a further £4 million in add-ons. There's been movement too. Neil Maupay has joined Marseille on loan. Belgian midfielder Auriel Mangala has signed from Lyon. We've got English forward Tammy Abraham. He formerly of Chelsea, on the move, joining AC Milan from Roma. Southampton have completed the signing of Aaron Ramsdale from Arsenal for 18 million, could rise to 25. Fellow England keeper Sam Johnston has swapped Palace for Wolves. Let's look at that Ramsdale to Southampton move in detail and how he compares to their first choice keeper, Gavin Bazunu, who admittedly is out until the new year with an Achilles injury. Similar sample size from last season, Arsenal top of the Premier League, Southampton in the Championship. Ramsdale's got the better save percentage, but double the number of errors leading to shots. The main reason he fell down the pecking order at the Emirates was his ability to play from the back. Bazunu's pass completion far better to Russell Martin's style. So when we look at this deal that's gone through earlier today, is it a good move for everybody concerned, do you think?
Well, I think it is, really. I think Aaron Ramsdale is an infectious character, somebody who's really good in the dressing room, very, very likeable, real team player, wants to do well. He's been hurting not playing football. I think he's done really, really well with Arsenal. I think the one question mark will be the style of play that Mikel Arteta's wanted to develop. It'll be the same where he's going to. So can he have the confidence to go? I've seen him come back into a game, try to do things he wasn't comfortable with, got caught in possession. So he just needs games. He needs to play, and I think he just wants to get on with his football. He's missed so much of it. I think it's a really, really strong signing for the football club.
There was talk that he might go to Wolves, but I think Wolves were priced out of that deal. Is Southampton a better fit for him, do you think?
I quite like the move. I think Russell Martin did an incredible job last season. Played a really nice brand of football. Got his goalkeeper to do what he needed him to do. Aaron Ramsdale is a great, great goalkeeper. And I know what the stats say there, but the stat that stood out to me the most there was his save percentage, which was, as a goalkeeper, as an outfield player, I want my goalkeeper to save the ball. I don't care if he's good at passing or if his distribution is fantastic.
Is that the modern way?
No, listen, he's going to have some
Not
saves.
really, but
he's going to have some saves to make. So let me tell you, it's going to be important how many he saves because he will be under a little bit of pressure. Yeah. They will play with confidence and style. We get that, but when you're under a little bit of pressure, it's different this season.
And he's a leader as well. He's a leader as well.
Yeah, I think he'd be good I think he'd be good in the dressing room when they need a lift.
Now, I guess you got previous as well with the likes of, I think, Joe Hart when he was at Birmingham. You got people like Ben Foster when they were at lower league clubs and were kept a little bit busier. Not in the England squad right now, but if he's playing first-team football, he actually has a chance to press his case with a new manager who might be thinking a bit differently.
Exactly. And there's an England shout as well, possibly. Who knows?
We will see. Right, how much do you know? Do you know how much Premier League clubs forked out this time last year? £211 million. Now, this deadline day, if it's felt a little bit quieter compared to previous ones, we might just be able to explain it using 3 letters. PSR, profit and sustainability rules, in order for clubs to balance the books. Many did their business by the end of June. Why? Here's Nick Masheter.
It marked the end of the financial year for the Premier League clubs, meaning that they needed to ensure they were compliant with profit sustainability rules when they submit their accounts. Now, clubs, they can't lose more than 105 million over a 3-year period, and that's slightly less if you've taken a little bit of time out and spent some time in the Championship during that period. It was quite a busy window for some clubs. Aston Villa, Everton, Chelsea, they were quite active together. I think everybody saw Lewis Dobbin moved from Everton to Aston Villa for around 9 million. Tim Irignobum joined Everton from Aston Villa for around the same fee as well. And we saw Omari Kellerman join Chelsea for 19 million. And that was just 2 years after Aston Villa signed him from Derby for around 600,000. Ian Maatsen, the left back at Chelsea, ended up going to Aston Villa for just over 35 million. So there was quite a lot of deals between some clubs who needed to make sure that they were compliant with the regulations. It's important because they can bank the 100% profit. They've come through the academies. They haven't had to spend a lot of money to bring them in, so they're able to just bring these guys through the academies, like we've seen Conor Gallagher obviously go from Chelsea to Atletico Madrid recently, and they can put that transfer fee straight into the accounts as 100% profit. An accounting practice which allows clubs to spread the cost of a player's transfer fee over the length of the contract. So it means that the annual payments that are recorded on their accounts are smaller over longer periods. So say they go and buy a player for 100 million, they would be able to use that over 5 years, and that would only be 20 million per season in their accounts. Although we've used the example of 5 years there, but in December, Premier League clubs voted to limit the period over which a player's transfer fee can be spread over in their accounts to 5 years, and that's brought it in line with UEFA regulations.
That is Nick Masheter. Now the time is 10:22. That makes it 38 minutes to go until the deadline. Joe Linsky's in the transfer centre.
Yes, Ben, those profit and sustainability rules became impossible to ignore last season for fans of Everton and Nottingham Forest when they were hit with those point deductions for breaking them. Everton stayed in the Premier League, but the effects still linger, unable to spend the money to scale up the league significantly. But on deadline day, they have completed the signing of Orel Mangala on loan from Lyon, a player who was at Forest last season. Let's discuss that deal and the club in more detail with our chief football writer, Phil McNulty. Phil, first of all, talk us through Everton's window. Can we expect any late ins or outs at this club this evening? And secondly, was this something that Sean Dyche, the manager, was this a reality check he was expecting, or was he prepared for another summer like this?
I think to answer your first question, I suspect there won't be any more incomings. As you say, they signed Orel Mangala from Lyon. There was an interest in the Lyon winger, Ernest Nuamar, but it looks like he may go to Fulham. To the second point, I think it was always going to be a tough summer. Sean Dyche, very much aware of the reality of Everton. It was the big sale everyone was expecting when Amadou Onana went to Aston Villa for £50 million, Ben Godfrey, Atalanta, £10 million. So they did bring some money in, and he has spent some of it. He's brought in Ilian Ndiaye from Marseille for 18 million. Signed the big centre-half, Republic of Ireland centre-half, Joke O'Brien from Lyon. That cost 20 million. And one or two others. One of the players Nick mentioned there, Tim Irigbunam, £10 million from Aston Villa. Many thought he would be a marginal figure, but he's actually, in amongst a fairly dismal start to the season, been one of the bright lights. So I think the business is done for the day. I think other aspects of Everton's summer, they've managed to hold on to Jared Branthwaite. They turned down a couple of bids from Manchester United for him. Talk of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Chelsea today, but that's not materialised. So I think Everton will go with what they've got now, barring any late surprises, and I'm not actually expecting it. So they will now try and push on with the squad they've got and somehow lift some of the gloom that's descended on Goodison Park earlier this season.
Yeah, and some of those issues, Phil, that we've talked about at Everton, they were hammered home this week when Neil Maupay left the club and posted on X a video of him breaking out of prison. It doesn't exactly help the narrative, does it?
No, in amongst some fairly bad purchases in recent seasons by Everton, Neil Maupay has to rate among the highest or the lowest, depending on which way you look at it. £15 million from Brighton, and he's only scored 1 goal. That was a winner against West Ham. Was shipped out back to Brentford last season, and really it was only a matter of time before he left. It was just a very loveless relationship, if you like, between Maupay and Everton, Maupay and Everton's fans. He's now to Marseille on loan, and I think unfortunately it was a bad buy, and it has turned out as such, and it's over, and Everton will hope to move on from it very swiftly, as I'm sure will Neil Maupay.
And just briefly, Phil, across Merseyside, another of your clubs, Liverpool, it looks like a quiet night for them, and just one signing for Arne Slot in his first transfer window as manager. Is that PSR related, or have they just had a high bar for incomings?
No, I think that's very much Liverpool's modus operandi. They wanted to buy Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. They thought they had him in the bag. They thought he'd agreed to come. Then he decided to stay at Real Sociedad. And as we've seen in the past, Liverpool are very, very reluctant to go anywhere near second best targets. They did the same with Virgil van Dijk when they couldn't get him originally at Southampton. They then waited and bought him later on, and what a figure he's been for them. They will wait maybe to try that number 6 again later on in the window. But I think the good thing for Liverpool is that Arne Slot has inherited a very, very fine squad from Jurgen Klopp, and there was no need for any panic buys, no need to go deep into any lists of players they may want. I think they're pretty satisfied with what they've got, and that one signing, Federico Chiesa, maybe a bargain at £10 million, and will certainly add something in the attacking sense for them.
OK, Phil McNulty, our chief football writer, thank you very much for your thoughts. Plenty more still to run on this transfer window. Ben, back to you.
Joe, thank you very much. Still no news on Sterling, still no news on Sancho either. But for the first time in 2 years, the Scottish window closes at the same time as the English one, giving managers, CEOs and lawyers an early night for a change. Not for Jane Lewis, though, who joins us from Glasgow. Jane, specifically today, what's been going on with regards to the late deals?
Yeah, I would say that the deadline day has been simmering away here in Scotland. It's not quite come to the boil as yet, although Celtic are having a bit of a right good go at it. They've certainly been the most active on transfer deadline day itself. Remember, they sold Matt O'Reilly to Brighton for a healthy sum, didn't they? A record fee for selling a Celtic player, and they're certainly starting to spend that money this evening. The American defender Austin Trusty has joined from Sheffield United on a 5-year deal. He is poised to be joined by Arne Engels. He's close to joining them. He's a 20-year-old Belgian midfielder. He's joining from Bundesliga side Augsburg, and that is said to be for a club record fee as well. So they are certainly splashing the cash. They've also had a verbal agreement, a bid agreed between Dundee and the club for the highly rated Luke McCowan. We understand the player is currently on his way to Glasgow. Time running out, but currently on his way to try and get that deal completed, because there has been a verbal agreement for that deal. Leaving Celtic today, Mikey Johnson. He's been long associated with the Parkhead club, and he has left for West Brom. Well, as for Rangers, well, their manager was pretty vocal, wasn't he, when he said that the players had to leave before he'd be allowed to make any more signings, where any more signings would have to come in. But players that have left today, you'll know that Scott Wright has joined League One side Birmingham City. Todd Cantwell has also joined Blackburn Rovers. That has allowed players to come in. It's paved the way for the Dutch defender Neresho Kazwan Weirjo to sign from Feyenoord on loan. So he will join the club, and he will take his place in the Ibrox dressing room. Elsewhere, Jason Holt, he's left Livingston. He's rejoined St Johnstone. That was a club he was on loan at in 2019. There's a bit of a running theme with familiar faces going back to old clubs here in Scotland, it has to be said. Hibs have made a late move for a player that was with them last season as well. Motherwell have re-signed Jack Vale. He was on loan at the club last season. He signed from Blackburn on loan, and Jair has signed on loan from Motherwell at Hibs. A couple of interesting exits for a couple of young Scottish players as well up here. St Mirren's a highly rated teenager, Ethan Sutherland. He has joined Wolves. He's only 18 years old. He has gone down there for an undisclosed fee. And 16-year-old Sebastian Lockhead, he has left Dundee, also destined for Wolves as well. So it's been busy enough, but some really intriguing transfers, I think, up here, it's fair to say.
Definitely. Jane, thank you very much. Keep us up to date if anything changes on all of that. You are watching the Football News Show. Stay with us.
1, 2, 3, go. We could be about to witness history.
With the drama, and it's
You're watching the Football News Show. We are live on the BBC iPlayer, the BBC Red Button and the BBC Sport website and app until 11:15. Half an hour now to go until the men's window closes. Here's a reminder of the biggest deals so far on transfer deadline day. Manchester United have confirmed the signing of Manuel Ugarte from Paris Saint-Germain, the midfielder, costing an initial £42 million. One in and one out. Scott McTominay's move to Napoli is complete. He's moved for a fee of £21 million plus £4 million in add-ons. Is Raheem Sterling about to get his move away from Chelsea? He's in talks with Arsenal about crossing over to London. And could Jadon Sancho be about to take his place? Chelsea are in talks with Manchester United over a loan deal. And will Ivan Toney's move to Saudi Arabia beat the deadline? Brentford have accepted a £40 million deal from Al Ahly, but time is ticking. We've got St Michael Brown and Jermaine Beckford with us. Looking at the one-in, one-out situation at Manchester United, I think the club kind of insinuate that they're very happy with the dealings they've done, all of the business they've done over the summer so far, nobody in over the age of 26. But when we look at that midfield role, have they upgraded, do you think?
Only time will tell. I think that's been an area for some time, hasn't it, that Manchester United have been lacking. The amount of legs, the recovery, the domination in the middle of the pitch. Kobe Mainoo's come in and done exceptionally well. What a great young talent, and I think that's been wanted, hasn't it, for Manchester United supporters and the team in the middle. We've seen a little bit of imbalance. I think we've seen more not having the number 9 at the top of the pitch, having a false 9, that it's made you a little bit more solid regarding when people are on build-up, etc. But from there on, I still think they need more legs, more determination. Ugarte coming in is going to contribute to that. Casemiro has got the experience. Kobe Mainoo and the balance there. Mason Mount going out injured as well, yet again, needs more games. I still think there's a little bit of work to do for Manchester United to go right to the top. I think it's been a good window for them. I think they've strengthened some good areas and they'll be relatively pleased. You can't do it all in one window.
They still don't have a fit.
But Chelsea are trying.
Well, that's just a given, isn't it? But that makes it worse at times.
Yeah. They still don't have a fit left back. They still don't have a fit striker. So can you really say that the transfer window's been a success for them?
It's been one of the better ones in recent times, absolutely. Again, they're bringing the average age of the squad down, which is something that is desperately needed for Manchester United. They've got good quality in there as well. Like you said, it's a stepping stone, isn't it, at Manchester United at the moment? They're not going to be able to compete with Liverpool, with Manchester City, with Arsenal. They're not going to be able to do that just yet. But give them another window or two, bringing in a few more players of this sort of calibre.
How much time are we talking?
Yeah, but the point is that if the right players are not there to strengthen, you can't just do it and waste all that money. And I think they've got a really strong organisation and unity now, right from the top. They've been through it before. They're not just going to rush. They accept it's a longer-term project. The manager's staying where he is at this moment in time. He has to develop and show an improvement. So I think the balance has been there. I think they've done it right. Could they have got a couple more players? Of course they could have. But if they're not available at the right money, that's going to complement the squad, then you've got to wait. And I think that's fair enough. And we've got to give them the benefit of the doubt on this. I think they've done the job right.
Ugarte's not going to be available for that game against Liverpool at the weekend. He's not been registered in time. But let's chat Europe next on the Football News Show. The windows in Germany and France have shut already. Top of the hour for Italy and Spain with the biggest deals of the day. Well, probably Tammy Abraham moving to AC Milan. As for the window overall, a free transfer could well be the most expensive. Kylian Mbappe joining Real Madrid. We've also seen Julian Alvarez leave Man City for Atletico, João Neves swap Benfica for PSG, Elise leaving Palace for Bayern, and Dani Olmo eventually signing for Barcelona. Generally quiet in terms of the bigger deals on the continent today. We've got the European football expert Julien Laurent with us. Who's done the best business, do you think, so far in the window overall then, Julien?
That's a great question. I think, as you mentioned, Kylian Mbappe, I think for a Real Madrid squad that didn't need much work, to be fair, considering they were already the best team in Europe, to have added Mbappe to the squad is pretty incredible, especially as a free agent. I mean, there's no free agent really that doesn't exist because of the signing on fees and et cetera, but to not having to pay a transfer fee to PSG to get maybe one of the best players in the world, if you're Real Madrid, that's an absolute coup. So even if Mbappe hasn't done great so far in the first few games that he played for them to be able to strengthen their squad with him is really exceptional when you think about it. I like the Olise signing to Bayern Munich, for example, I think he will do really, really well there. For PSG, it's been an interesting summer in the sense that there's no superstar, no marquee signing. Instead, I think they want to make this squad a better collective and this team a better team, really, than what we saw maybe at times in the past where it felt like it was very much a sum of individuals more than a collective. I think this will change. For Barcelona, Dani Olmo, the big one, they had to wait long for him, but then he gave them the win on Tuesday night in La Liga, for example. So he would be a very good signing for them. And in Italy, it's been really interesting because maybe the biggest deal that we expected was Victor Osimhen. And he looks right now that he's going to stay at Napoli, not going to Chelsea, not going to Saudi Arabia, not going to PSG either, and staying at Napoli, which is really the last thing he wanted. We saw Romelu Lukaku going from Chelsea to Napoli, which is a good thing for him to be reunited with Lukaku. But even in Italy, it's been quite quiet when you look at it, apart from Juventus, who for me have been one of the winners of the transfer window, not just on the bench with Thiago Motta arriving, but overall an outstanding recruitment that they've made from really every position, Cook Miners, defensively, in midfield, defensively, going forward as well. I think Juventus will be one of the winners of the transfer window.
Jules, what do you think about Napoli's signings currently? Obviously, Antonio Conte's come in the back end of last season. The three signings, especially Lukaku, Billy Gilmour and Scott McTominay, do you think they're going to make a massive difference in the title push? Or do you think it's still going to be a little bit too far away from them?
It's a great question because I think Conte wanted more. He wanted more depth in his squad. He wanted more signing. He wanted more talent. I don't think many people in Naples, let's be honest, would have heard of Billy Gilmour before. Even Scott McTominay, I'm not so sure. Lukaku and Conte, it's not a surprise really to see them being reunited in that way. But for McTominay and Gilmour, it's a very surprising signing in a way, considering the lack of experience of Italian football, of Serie A. We can't even say for McTominay, for example, that tactically or in terms of football IQ, he's one of the best, and he can adapt very, very quickly to a brand new league, a brand new culture, and a brand new system as well that Conte plays in. So I'm not really sure about Gilmour and McTominay. For Lukaku, I think Conte knows exactly what he's getting.
I think Billy Gilmour will suit the style. I think he's got that brain, he's got the understanding to take the ball. I think he'll do well there, Jules.
Yeah, no, maybe. I think of him and McTominay, he's certainly tactically, you're right, the most, I think, ready to get used to the way Napoli and Conte play. But for him, if you think about De Zerbi and what he did at Brighton, where he was really, really good, Conte is the complete opposite style of football. They play with the back three. They don't build up the same way. They don't, the passing and etc. is not at all the same as De Zerbi. So he will have to get used to that. Plus, on top of it, getting used to Serie A, to Italian football, to the language, to the culture, to everything else. So I like the Gilmour signing far more than the McTominay one, I won't lie. But even for him, it's a massive discovery and a massive journey. Instead, they could have gone and signed a proven Italian or Serie A midfielders. They went for Gilmour. Good for Conte. It's just, I think, a bit of a gamble still.
Jules, you touched on PSG regards to Mbappe leaving, the superstars. How do you feel like that change is going to affect them, and what do you see the main differences?
I think it's a little bit early to tell. On paper, I like the idea that they want to make this team more of a team than before. Remember when Neymar, Messi and Mbappe were that front three and we were watching them, it was very clear that you had 7 outfield players and then the front three that were doing their things, that were not track back, no defending, nothing at all. And it was never going to be possible for this PSG team to win the Champions League when you had basically your team cut in two, 7 and 3. If Luis Enrique can build this team, and it's a very young team. We mentioned João Neves, who's only 19, one of the big signings for PSG this summer. Vitinha is still young, Zaire Emery is 18, Barcola is young, Gonzalo Ramos is young. So there's a lot of youngsters everywhere. If you can make this team improve and build something collectively around this squad and these players, I think they can do well. I don't think it will be enough to go and win the Champions League because they're still way behind City or Real Madrid. But I like the shift in direction. I like the change. I like the fact that it's not just about superstar signing who are going to sell shirt, even if they don't really add up to the squads. I like the idea that they have of going for a more united team, a stronger collective than anything that we've seen in the last 10 years, really.
But will they win the Champions League? We shall have to wait and see. Jules, thanks for joining us as always on the Football News Show. You can hear more from Jules on the EuroLeague's podcast on BBC Sounds. We have, 20 minutes to go now until the summer transfer window closes in England and Scotland. Let's head back to Joe and Simon at the Transfer Centre.
Yes, here at the BBC Sports Centre, we're keeping across those live deals still in progress with our chief football news reporter, Simon Stone. And Simon, perhaps the most dramatic move to emerge this evening in the last half hour is one involving this man, Jadon Sancho of Manchester United. Are Chelsea going to get this over the line? What kind of deal are we looking at here?
Well, we're looking at a loan deal with an obligation to buy, and we believe the obligation is going to be set at between 20 and 25 million pounds. Now, we're in this stage, we're into the final minutes. We also, if you remember, we have this thing called a deal sheet that clubs can use to extend the time that they can take to actually sign players with the Premier League by a couple of hours. If they know that the deal is going to go through, they've got to register that in ahead of the 11 p.m. deadline. But the longer this goes on without anybody anywhere saying, not sure it's going to happen, the more likely it is to happen. That is the vibe that we're getting from all parties, that we think by the end of this transfer window, Jadon Sancho will be a Chelsea player.
Yeah, and even earlier in the week, even earlier in the day, we were talking about maybe Manchester United being involved with a move with Jadon Sancho to get Raheem Sterling in return. But that has seemed to have gone away in the last hour. It's Arsenal who have emerged as the favourites to sign him. Are they going to get this deal done?
Yeah, I think they will. A little bit like Jadon Sancho at Manchester United. Raheem Sterling is somebody who is not wanted to play in the first team. He knows he'll be training on his own if he stays at Chelsea. Linking up with Mikel Arteta, somebody he worked with at Manchester City, that is an attraction. It's down to the clubs to do the deal. But in the same way that I said about Sancho, we're not getting any sense that this is not going to happen. And that means it probably is.
I just wanted to quickly touch, Simon, on one deal which is a bit left field. There are plenty of deals going on in the EFL, plenty in the Championship, but it's one in League One I wanted to touch on. And Jay Stansfield potentially moving from Fulham to Birmingham City for a third-tier record transfer fee of £10 million. He was on loan there last season. Is this going to get done?
Well, Fulham turned a bid of 10 million down, so we don't know exactly what the price is, but I'm told there's a lot of confidence, a lot of positivity at Birmingham that Stansfield is going to sign for them. It would be a huge deal, as you say, League One we're talking about here, over £10 million.
Extraordinary deal. Plenty still to watch out for, Simon, in these last 15 or so minutes of the transfer window, Ben.
Yeah, I think Will Grigg for £4 million was the previous record in League One before that. Right, let's get the latest on our London clubs then. Checking with our football reporter, Nizar Kinsella, who's across all of the comings and goings of Stamford Bridge. What more can you tell us, Nizar?
Yeah, I think it's still Jadon Sancho is the main one coming into Stamford Bridge, and then it's more about the outgoings, right? So how many players can Chelsea get out? I think Simon touched upon it. Raheem Sterling getting those wages off the wage bill. If you're going to bring Sancho some £250,000 a week wages, you probably want Sterling's £300,000 a week wages off the wage bill. And then is there going to be a move for Ben Chilwell? We're so far hearing not. Unfortunately, he's not getting enough interest. He's got high wages. That puts teams off. And then, yeah, Armando Broja. Will he go to Ipswich Town? That's still being worked on. We hear that he's their main target to get a forward in on deadline day. They did look at Middlesbrough's Latte Lath. He isn't travelling with the squad to Cardiff, by the way. He tried to force a move. It didn't happen, and Ipswich are focusing on Armando Broja instead. And then Trevor Chalobah, will he join Crystal Palace? We think that deal will go through. It's a loan as far as we can tell. But yeah, will Chelsea get a loan fee, for example? How much of the wages can they get off the bill? The key is for Chelsea, can they get all these wages off the wage bill? Because You know, everyone knows Chelsea have way too many players, some 42 players, some people say, but many of those are in a separate group that don't train with the first team squad, and their combined wages is something like £1 million a week. So you kind of want those off the wage bill, as many of those as you can, and that's sort of Chelsea's focus right now is getting Sancho over the line. The deadline is so soon, but also can they get as many of these guys out? And hey, the guys writing the contracts, they're really busy at Stamford Bridge. They're really busy at Cobham as well.
And you'll keep it busy as well, Nizar. They've got about 15 minutes to get those deals done now. Right, let's go back to Alex Howell, who's at Selhurst Park for us. And Alex, Nizar was mentioning Trevor Chalobah there. Palace have been busy today.
They have been. We started the day off with the announcement from Oliver Glasner that Mark Gahey would be staying here. Probably the most important bit of business in some people's eyes. The manager was very pleased with that. There's also the signing of Maxence Lacroix, who came in from Wolfsburg. I don't think that one was ever in doubt. When I was in the training ground earlier and I was leaving that press conference from Oliver Glasner, I looked over my shoulder and saw Maxence Lacroix standing in his kit in the car park. So that was just a case of waiting for the announcement. We're expecting the deal for Eddie Nketiah to be confirmed shortly. That's for a deal in the region of £30 million. Crystal Palace still trying to fill that void left by Michael Olise since he went to Bayern Munich. They've also bringing in goalkeeper Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. So it has been a very busy day here at Selhurst Park, and they're also trying to thin out and get rid of the players that aren't playing that much, the fringe players as well. I've seen that Nehru Ahamada has gone to Stade Rennais on loan.
Interesting stuff. Alex, we'll let you get back to it as well. It's going to be a busy 15 minutes for you, I suspect, too. Whilst the deadline is fast approaching in England and Scotland, in the WSL, their season isn't underway until the 20th of September. And as such, their transfer window's got a bit of time to run. Nevertheless, still been plenty of deals for Jo Curry to sink her teeth into.
Well, unlike the Premier League, Women's Super League clubs have another 2 weeks to get their business done, with their transfer deadline day being Friday, the 13th. Will it be lucky for some? Having said that, it seems a lot of the clubs have mostly got their deals already in the bag. So here's a recap of some of the biggest moves so far. Well, let's start in south-west London and the reigning champions Chelsea, where new boss Sonia Bonpastor made an early impact by bringing England defender Lucy Bronze back to British shores. Now, she arrives at Chelsea on a 2-year deal from Barcelona. The 32-year-old has now won 5 Champions League titles. That's experience that could be vital if Chelsea are to finally enjoy some European success. Chelsea, meanwhile, have had some big-name departures with the likes of Jess Carter and Katrin Berger and Fran Kirby, all moving to new clubs. Now, Kirby has gone to Brighton. That's arguably their most high-profile signing to date. And she's just one of many players coming and going on the South Coast. They've now had 9 in and 8 out. So what about Manchester United? Well, fresh from winning the FA Cup at the end of last season, they've lost 2 of their biggest players on free transfers, with Mary Earps going to France and captain Katie Zellum moving stateside. Now, you'd think that the badge of United and the budget that a club that size should have would be enough to attract some world-class players. But despite making 5 signings, they're yet to land one that really excites the fans. Ella Toone, though, remains confident that they can still challenge for silverware this season.
The feeling that you have when you win something is a feeling that you can't describe, but you want it so much more now. So hopefully we can go into this season and have that drive and fight to want to do it again. And I think that we will, especially with the players that we've brought in now as well. And the feel that we have around the place, it's nice, it's refreshing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
So that's the red side of Manchester, but has the blue side made better use of the window? Well, Manchester City landed possibly the deal of the season when they signed Vivian Miedema on a free deal. The 27-year-old is the all-time leading goal scorer in the WSL, having netted 125 goals in 172 appearances for her previous club, Arsenal. And speaking of the Gunners, well, they've added Spanish World Cup winner Mariona Caldente to their already packed forward lineup. They've also signed highly rated Dutch goalkeeper Daphne van Domselaar from Aston Villa, with Sabrina D'Angelo going in the opposite direction. Now, the goalkeeper position has been an issue for the North London club in recent seasons. Their hope is that Van Domselaar can finally help them deliver their first league title since 2019. So that's the biggest deals done so far, but with another 2 weeks to go in the window, there's still plenty of time for a few more.
That is Joe Curry there. Right, let's update you on a few more of the deadline deals. Wolves have just confirmed the arrival of the Brazilian midfielder Andre. That fee is for £21 million. Ryan Fraser signed for Southampton on a free after his Newcastle contract was mutually terminated. He signed a 2-year deal, and Jeremy Sarmiento has joined Burnley on loan from Brighton. We've also got that move with Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling that we're expecting very, very shortly. But Wolves bringing in a player there. I know that Gary O'Neill's been really vocal, actually, about kind of the lack of business that they've done. How happy do you think they'll be? I mean, they've got bringing in Andre just now, but overall, with their transfer window, that maybe some of their key players leaving rather than bringing in the ones they wanted.
Well, that's the problem. When you look at who's left the building, I think that's the point. You're obviously heavily depleted. I think last January he tried to actually encourage signings. He knew when he went into the job that the squad was what it was going to be. He did incredible what he did with what was left there. And he managed to sift through a few and done brilliant the way he played, the way he got everybody behind him. He did need a little bit of help going forward. You have to freshen it up, and at this level, that's for certain. When you lose the players that he did, it's took a long period of time to try and get a few in the building. Gets his goalkeeper, that took a little bit of time, and now more players just drifting in. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed.
So do I, especially after the great football that we saw last season as well. You would expect everybody upstairs to say, do you know what? We like what he's done here. We like what he's done with these players. A couple of fringe players making 1 or 2 appearances as well. Let's back him. It doesn't feel like they've done that enough. And it would be a little bit disappointing. He would be a little bit disappointed, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, look, he's got a great opportunity to work with a great bunch of lads. So he'll also look at it from that
I think he needs a
perspective.
little bit more on the squad. I think he's going to have to. I think he's going to have to really do well on the training ground. I think we know how thorough he is, what he gets from his side, but I think he could just catch a little bit short. There might be a little bit of uncertainty.
They're going to be down there, do you think?
To what level, I'm not so sure.
I think they'll be safe.
If he gets anywhere near away from the pack towards the middle of the table, he'll have done unbelievable yet again.
Yeah, I think they'll be safe, but I think he'll be knocking on the door come close to exactly December, and then saying, "Listen, we need to reinforce."
Yeah, interesting stuff. Well, when you get promoted to the Premier League with all of the riches on offer, what is the best way to spend the money? Is it stick or twist? Well, given that the 3 sides that came up last year went straight back down again, Ipswich are trying something different, spending over £100 million. Now, this is the team that beat Huddersfield on the final day to seal promotion. Now, apart from the goalkeeper, they're all still at the club, but such has been the overhaul this summer. This is what the team could look like against Fulham tomorrow. You've got Ari Muric, you've got Jacob Greaves, Dara O'Shea, Chidozie Ogbene, Sammy Schmodix, Calvin Phillips, Jack Clark, technically Amari Hutchinson, who made his loan permanent as well over the summer. And when so much has been made about Ipswich's identity under Kieran McKenna, are they in danger of drifting away from it? He says it gives them the chance to be competitive. Well, Richard Moss is from the Talking Town podcast, and he is with us now. Would you be competitive otherwise?
Good evening, guys. Well, if you look at when we got promoted, there was 75% of players that played in League One. So, look, it's a massive overhaul. Is it a gamble? Yeah, probably, but it was needed. You know, we had to make these changes. When we played Liverpool, there was 7 out of the 11 who had played in League One. And, look, it's just the harsh reality of football. It's a shame, but it's needed. And will it work? I don't know, but I think we did need to make a lot of signings, and we spent 100 million. And there's rumours that it might be another signing coming tonight. Reece Nelson, we're after him on loan from Arsenal. So it's exciting times as a Town fan.
Yeah, it could be the knock-on effect of all the Sterling Sancho business that as well. Do you think it's a gamble, or given the fact that you've got promoted to the Premier League first time in 20 years, are you trying to give it your best shot? And you'll worry about maybe what happens, the repercussions of it later on?
Yeah, look, you get here as a football fan, you want to be competitive. You look at Luton last season, they done really well, but Town are a much bigger club than them. Our transfer record was 4.5 million, and that stood for over 20 years when we were last in the Premier League. So we've smashed that. We've made some really, really good signings, and you think we've probably signed some of the best talent that were in the Championship. Can they make that step up? That's what we hope they can do. You know, they're talented players. You look at Jacob Greaves, you look, Sammy Smollett's got 31 goals for Blackburn, Jack Clark, great signing from Sunderland. But it is a gamble. But I think that's the market that we were shopping in. You know, we can't really afford to pay fees for players in the Premier League with the wages that are on. So I think we've done some really good business, and now it's down to Kieran to get them on the training ground and get them working in them patterns of play. Because, look, we've had a really, really good team spirit. We've had the same sort of core of players for the last 2 years. And it's really sad when you see tonight players like Freddie Ladapo leaving the club, Marcus Harness has gone to Derby, George Edmondson. They'll go down in years to come as town legends. But it's harsh, it is, but it's just the fact of you're in the top league and we want to make a mark. We don't just want to be here to make up the numbers.
Do you know, when I look at the signings, I think they're really good ones because of the development of the football club, the age from 18 to 24. Smodix is a little bit older, 28. Phillips is 28 and Ogbeni 27. But I feel everybody's in the right age. What are your expectations as an Ipswich Town fan when you see these signings, and which player excites you the most?
Well, I think, Michael, expectation is, look, it's just staying in the league. It is. And I know it's really, really hard when you look at them teams last season. I think attacking-wise, I think we'll be all right because we've got a lot of talent there. You probably see the highlights from last Saturday at Man City. We went 1-0 up, which is probably the worst thing we could do. And then within like 3 or 4 minutes, we're 3-1 down. We're going to be brave. We're going to play out from the back. Will that be to detriment? Possibly, you know. But under McKenna, he's got a philosophy how he wants to play football. And I think as a fan, you want that. Signings that excite me. Look, for me, we've made 12 signings. Amari Hutchinson was a really big signing. The biggest signing for me was keeping hold of the manager in the summer, you know, because there was a lot of talk of United, Brighton and Chelsea chasing him. And if Kieran had gone, a player like Hutchinson, I don't think he would have come back to the football club because obviously he came here last season. And it was his first season in men's football, over 50 appearances, 10 goals. For me, I'm looking here, Jack Clark's a player that really excites me, and I wanted him for a long while. But for me, Jacob Greaves, I think he's a really good player. There was I think Everton and West Ham are after him. I think he could go on and play for England. And he's a player, if we don't stay in this league, if we did get relegated, I think we signed him for 15 million. I think there's some add-ons there. We could easily double our money because I think he's that good. He's left-sided, centre-half, which I think there's not that many when you look around. But, yeah, look, it's really exciting. But I'm just hoping as a Town fan we're competitive. Fulham tomorrow, I know a lot of people are saying our season starts then. Look, that's a really, really hard game. And I think we just need to, even if we got a point tomorrow, get some points on the board. We've got 2-week international break. There's a few players going away on international duty, which really you probably could do with them staying. But look, it's exciting times. We ain't been here for 22 years. We were playing at Forest Green 2 years ago, and last Saturday we were playing at the Etihad. So It's a season you've just got to enjoy every single game, and whatever will be, will be.
Enjoy it as best you can. Richard from the Talking Town podcast, thank you very much. Right, we have got just 2 minutes until the transfer window closes, and there has been some movement at Selhurst Park. We can chat to Alex Howe. Alex, what can you tell us?
That's right, Ben. We thought the announcement was going to be coming soon, and it has come. Eddie Nketiah is officially a Crystal Palace player. The deal is worth up to £30 million, and he makes the move from Arsenal to Crystal Palace. It's one of those deals that probably works out for everyone. Arsenal need to make space in their squad if they're potentially bringing in Raheem Sterling as well. Eddie Nketiah had fallen down the pecking order there. And for Crystal Palace, they need a proven goal scorer because, as I mentioned before, they lost Michael Elise to Bayern Munich. And what they've done is they've bought 3 forward players for the money that they've sold Michael Elise for. And in the press release I was reading there, they've pointed to Eddie Nketiah's stats that he scored scored a goal just under every 180 minutes. So if they're able to match those statistics, or if he is playing for Crystal Palace and he scores a goal every 2 games, I think it'll be a deal where everyone will be happy.
Interesting stuff. Alex Howell at Selhurst Park, thank you very much. So that deadline is fast approaching then. You're watching the Football News Show. Do not go anywhere.
13.1 miles across the north. Running for charity, for fun and for greatness. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. It's a proper great time at the Great North Run. Live, Sunday the 8th of September on BBC One and iPlayer.
Yes, you are watching the Football News Show. It is 11 o'clock, which means the transfer window in England and Scotland is now closed. Here are the big deals that have gone through before the deadline. Manchester United confirmed the arrival of the PSG midfielder Manuel Ugarte for an initial £42 million. Scott McTominay has departed Old Trafford. He's headed to Napoli along with the Brighton midfielder Billy Gilmour. Eddie Nketiah has left Arsenal, just signing for Crystal Palace for a fee of £30 million, as we've just heard. And in the last couple of seconds, Nottingham Forest have made 2 signings. James Ward-Prowse on loan from West Ham and the Brazilian defender Morato from the Portuguese club Benfica. However, just because the window is shut, deals can still be done. Joe Linsky.
The window is closed. We're now in deal sheet territory. That piece of basic information clubs submit to the Premier League before the deadline to give the time to tie up the details. And when we had news of a transfer emerging just before the deadline, as I switched my mic on, yes, so we're in deal sheet territory at the moment. We were always anticipating a situation, though, for Jadon Sancho like this, because we came to air at 10 o'clock and heard news of this deal for Sancho moving from Manchester United to Chelsea. Simon Stone is our football reporter who is with us. Talk us through how this deal for Sancho has happened, Simon, and what kind of deal we're looking at here.
Well, basically, Jadon Sancho had a massive fallout with Erik ten Hag last season. He ended up on loan at Borussia Dortmund. It was thought at the start of the summer, I was told that Manchester United were looking to sell Sancho. Then there was a rapprochement, so Ten Hag and Sancho made their peace. Sancho went on pre-season, but since they came back, Sancho has not played a game. And I think it's fairly obvious that Sancho didn't really want to play for Ten Hag. Ten Hag didn't see Sancho as being part of his plans. There was no point carrying on the relationship. So Manchester United have been looking for an out. The out is Chelsea. It will be when it is announced. I'd say when, because I think it is that rather than an if. It will be a loan with an obligation to buy, and that will be set at around 20 to 25 million pounds. You said about the deal sheet, gives clubs another couple of hours, and then they have to register players, and then we get an announcement. So we don't know when we'll find out one way or the other, but the expectation is Sancho will be a Chelsea player.
Post 11 o'clock, we're waiting for confirmation still too of a move involving Raheem Sterling, left out of the Chelsea squad, not even among the substitutes for their first 2 league games of the season. Seeking an escape route, it's Arsenal who have moved in tonight. Not been a really busy window for the Gunners, really, Simon. But is this the kind of player, the kind of profile player they were looking to sign even a week ago? It seems to have come from left field.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. If Raheem Sterling is playing to his maximum, he's this player who plays for England. He's vastly experienced. He's won every trophy virtually in the game. He will be an asset to anybody. The key is finding that level. He thinks he'll be happy at Arsenal, where he'll be reunited with Mikel Arteta, who he worked with when he was so successful at Manchester City.
Finally, let's touch on a deal surrounded by a little more uncertainty, because the Saudi club Al Ahly have a few more days to complete a deal for Brentford's Ivan Toney for £40 million in the last year of his contract. Simon, I think we were expecting a little more Premier League interest in a player like this. And really looking at this deal, £40 million in the context of today's deals, it's not a huge amount of money. So how has it got to this situation where the Premier League's not an option for him, it seems, at this point, but Saudi Arabia is?
Well, I presume that he is basically getting a better deal in Saudi Arabia than he was going to get anywhere else. He is an England international. He was at the European Championships. He's in the prime of his career. You would think there would be other clubs willing to pay big money, but clearly with a year left on his contract, that hasn't happened, and he has decided to take the offer to go and play in the Saudi Pro League.
And that is one we are still waiting for confirmation on, along with Sancho and Sterling. We will have another update before the end of the show. Ben, back to you.
We are still waiting. It's probably the story of the entire day. Just to bring you some news of another transfer that's gone through. Real Betis have signed the Tottenham midfielder Giovanni Lo Celso. The deal worth around £3.5 million with further add-ons as well. Lo Celso, you might remember, joined Spurs for around 28 million back in 2019. Right, let's check in with Nizar Kinsler, who's across the comings and goings at Chelsea.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at Chelsea, really. There's, we're waiting to see if Raheem Sterling will leave. I think that's the real one now that I'm looking at, because as Simon says, I really do believe that Sancho will become a Chelsea player by the end of the day. So, yeah, it's more about will Raheem Sterling get his deal done in time. But I think the most exciting two updates I've got for you are for two other players, actually, Ben. It's Trevor Chalobah. His deal is maybe in the balance a little bit. The deal sheet is in. That's the sort of system that they use in the Premier League, where they give you 2 extra hours to try and get a transfer over the line. So the deal sheet is in for his move to Crystal Palace. Will that loan move go through now? There's been extra time bought, but I could tell you actually right now, I was literally just looking at my phone before I came on, and Ipswich have seen the loan deal for Armando Broja collapse. They couldn't agree a structure with Chelsea that suited both parties, so that deal has collapsed, of course. The deal originally also collapsed. It's the second time it collapsed, because it collapsed last week because the medical revealed an injury and they wanted to revise the deal. So, yeah, no new deal could be done for Armando Broja. That has collapsed. And also a deal that would see the Ipswich sign Reece Nelson from Arsenal as well. That's collapsed as well. So, a bit of bad news for Ipswich, but I think they'll be pretty happy with the transfer window as a whole. A lot of deals done in, and they're a much stronger team than they were in the Championship.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Nizar. Now, this is the modern way when the transfer window comes around. Chelsea are tending to do things their own way, not just by spending loads of cash, but also showing some high-profile players the door, or trying to. But what do the fans make of it? Tom Overend from the Chelsea Social is with us. Tom, what have you made of it all?
It's been an exhausting day, I can certainly say that. But trying to keep tabs on everything, and as you say, it wouldn't be Chelsea if we didn't find a way of making things extremely confusing.
And Tom, how happy are you with the squad right now? And how happy are you that some players, like maybe the likes of Armando Broja and Ben Chilwell, are sitting in your reserves under 21s, training on their own, whatever you want to call it? You're spending a ton on their wages and you're not getting anything from them.
So I'm happy with the broad playing squad. I think the squad that's training with Enzo Maresca is very much to scratch. I think it'll be a formidable outfit in the Premier League, and I think it will be able to generate some improvement on the last couple of seasons. But there is a risk about this squad of players that are not playing, that are going to be accruing wages. The club on outgoings haven't been able to fully accommodate them. I mean, Ben Chilwell, another example. I know there was some talk about Brentford potentially coming in for some interest earlier today. Sterling, I mean, potentially going to Arsenal, I think I've seen somewhere. But again...
What do you think about that? How does that affect the Chelsea supporters, Sterling going to Arsenal?
I don't think many of them are overly concerned. I think it's more about getting those wages off the books. And if Arsenal are willing to pay them, I think as far as Chelsea are concerned, they can have the player. He's not made a massive impact for us, but there's obviously some caution after Kai Havertz moved to Arsenal and is clearly doing pretty well at the moment. But broadly, I don't think there'll be much disappointment if he ends up at Arsenal overnight.
And what do you think about going into the season? Obviously, there's been a few games played so far. Nicholas Jackson being your only out-and-out number 9, do you think he's enough to really push on and try and get a Champions League spot, or even challenge for, I know it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, challenge for the title again sometime soon?
I think Nicholas Jackson is a really elite prospect. I think he's somebody that was always earmarked as being one for the future, one of the future best players in Europe in that position. But Chelsea do have other options as well. Marc Guiu brought him from Barcelona for €5 million. He's looked pretty good in pre-season and will probably play a lot of the Conference League. Christopher Nkunku can play 9 as well if needed. Cole Palmer has obviously also played there, Joao Felix. So there are players that can play in quite a fluid number 9 position. So I'm not overly concerned. And I think Nicholas Jackson came in last season, scored over 10 Premier League goals. There's clearly something in him as a player. So I think Chelsea can get top 4 with the options we've got. I mean, there are several, albeit not maybe out and out number 9s, but I think there are enough forward options, forward quality to propel us.
Bring Broja back.
Great stuff. Tom, thanks for joining us on the Football News Show. Right, time to check in one last time with Joe and Simon at the Transfer Centre.
Yes, we are here at the deal desk for one final time. And let's bring you up to date, Ben, on confirmation of some of those deals. You've just stolen my thunder, unfortunately, with this deal we're about to show you for Armando Broja. Deal off, not going to Ipswich, staying at Chelsea this evening. Victor Osimhen, it seems, is not going to Chelsea either. So lots of speculation. He may be the striker they bring in from Napoli. Simon Stone, our football reporter. Just what's happened with this deal? Because it seemed like the last part of the puzzle for Chelsea.
Well, yes. I mean, we've had this situation. We've been speaking about Ivan Toney and Al Ali. Victor Osimhen was also a target for Saudi Pro League, same team. That didn't materialise. We thought that would lead to a deal with Chelsea, but it seems as though that's just kind of disappeared. Nobody really knows why, but it doesn't look as though Victor Osimhen is going to be leaving Napoli.
And let's finish with the standout deal, really, of the night, which we are still waiting on confirmation of. It's an incoming at Chelsea, Jadon Sancho.
Yes, Jadon Sancho. Out of favour, really, at Manchester United. I think this is a good deal for everyone. We're expecting this to go through. We talk about a deal sheet. Clubs have got 2 hours after the 11 p.m. deadline to put the deal in. Then we might find out about it. So there's a bit of time yet, but the deal sheet will tell us everything.
Simon Stone, so many thanks again for joining us on the Football News Show. You've been up and down on your desk, you've been on the phone. Brilliant job, as always. Ben, it's back to you.
Joe, thank you very much. Waited all evening for the Toney deal, waited all evening for the Sterling deal and the Sancho deal. Still not quite gone through, but blissfully, Michael and Jermaine, it has been busier than the January transfer window. Who do you think at the minute, maybe I'll flip it on its head, who's going to be the most concerned? Which fans of which club should be most concerned right now with the business they've done this summer?
I would say possibly Liverpool, only because they've not reinforced the defensive areas as much as I think a few of them would have liked.
I was at Anfield a few weeks ago. They were screaming out for a defensive midfielder.
Exactly. But the 1 or 2 players that they have brought in, absolutely class. Chiesa, absolutely fantastic. Before his injury as well, I think it was was it in the Euros?
Yeah.
He was incredible. And that's the type of player they're getting. Maybe not as sharp or as quick as he used to be, but he's still a fantastic player. So they'll be happy with him.
I think Eddie Howe, Newcastle United, or their supporters, the last few seasons when they take over, when you're exciting big signings to come your way, and it just hasn't really happened. But it keeps happening. We've got more deals coming in all the time, Ben. Give us something else.
Plenty keeps going on. I think there is going to be something happening over in London. We have potentially some news on Raheem Sterling. Alex Howell is standing by. Alex, what can you tell us?
That's right, Ben. I've heard that Raheem Sterling is at Arsenal's training ground as a deal for a loan for him to join the club from Chelsea gets closer. He's at the training ground now, and it's just the final bits of that deal being completed. It looks like Mikel Arteta is going to add a player that he's worked with before, and probably the biggest shock of this transfer window in the last couple of hours is going to be completed.
Alex, thank you very much. Quick word, Raheem Sterling to Arsenal. Good move for Arsenal, bad move for Arsenal?
Nothing surprising me in football anymore. I can't even actually believe that, can you? Chelsea are letting him go to Arsenal.
A rival, London rival as well.
He's got the experience for the title. That's what they want. When he walks in that dressing room, they're
4 times, no? He's won it 4 times, really so what a signing he'll be for Arsenal.
Does he get into their first team?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
It needs a bit of time to get into the first.
Give it a rest with time.
When he gets playing again,
we don't do time.
Then he goes straight in. Saka, Martinelli, done so well.
We've talked about Liverpool and Newcastle maybe being unhappy. Who's going to be the happiest?
Oh, I think West Ham. Yeah. Like I mentioned before at the beginning of the show, I think they did their deals really, really early. They got 1 or 2 at the back end. I think they'll be over the moon.
West Ham have done well. Pressure's on them now because they wanted to make the change. They wanted the style of football. They limped through in the EFL Cup the other night. But it's just exciting all around, isn't it? Some wonderful signings. The Premiership is back.
Premier League. Premier League is back.
Yeah. Michael, Jermaine, thank you as always for joining us on the Football News Show. That is about all we have got time for. A reminder, the live text is still in full flow over on the BBC Sport website and app and will be well past midnight. The Football News Show is back every Tuesday and Friday. But from me and the rest of the team, thanks for watching.